Hello everybody and welcome to another video within the VATSIM tutorial series, the mini series. If you're new to the channel, please click the subscribe button, and if you find the video helpful, please click the like button down below as well. As always, just let me know how you get on in the comments. If you've had any issues or have got any questions, then just ask away. So we're continuing from episode 3, takeoff. And we're now looking at arrivals. In between that, we obviously have cruise, and basically we'll be at our cruise level, cruise altitude. In the interim, if we're given vectors by controllers or direct to waypoints, then we just follow those. So we might be told in this instance by the controller, direct Donax, in which case we hit direct Donax enter, and it would add that in. So there's not too much to worry about in relation to cruise, things like that. You might be told if there's traffic around you, you might be told to change your flight level, in which case you'll be told descend flight level 170 for example, or climb flight level 210 in the direction that we're heading. If we're heading west, then it'll be at even flight numbers. But for the purpose of the video today, we're going to look at arrivals, standard arrival routes. So we're flying into Manchester Airport, and we're going to be using the MIRSI 2 Bravo arrival via Wallasey. At the very top of the chart, using Chart Fox, we can see that MIRSI 2 Bravo arrival written into that second box there. And it's got some information on it. So we're on that Quebec 37 airway. Arrival via Quebec 37 to Mallard, which will be coming up soon. Then Wallasey VOR. At the Wallasey VOR, turn left onto Wallasey VOR radial 061 to MIRSI. And if we look at the charts, we've got lots of information. So we're going to be heading in from this direction, and our cruise is flight level 190, which is where we're at currently. Before we get to Mallard, we need to make sure that we are down to flight level 170, level by Mallard. And for that descent, if we're told by air traffic control, it will be an area controller like London Centre for the purpose of this. It would be Easy 864, descend flight level 170, level by Mallard. And we would read that back the same, so descend flight level 170, level by Mallard, Easy 864. And we'd go ahead and enact that. They might tell us to descend when ready, so we would read that back as descend when ready, flight level 170, level by Mallard, Easy 864, or a variation of it. So even descend flight level 170 when ready, level by Mallard, Easy 864. And all that's telling us to do is we need to make sure that we are at that flight level of 17,000 feet before we reach Mallard. And we might be getting further descent vectors and things like that as well. You can see here there's an SLP Wallasey VOR as we make our way in past Mallard into Wallasey, and there's loads of stars. Now if you look at the general information tab, it varies in the location on the charts. You can see there cross SLPs or 3 minutes before holding at 250 knots or less when at flight level 140 or below. And it also says up here, do not exceed 230 knots at MIRSI, clearance limit MIRSI unless otherwise instructed, and a few other bits of information. So we want to make sure that we cross those SLPs within those speed restrictions, and in the instance of this it's 250 knots. And we could be given descent vectors and things through that. If this was the first time we're calling up London Control, we could call up without, they need to know our flight level and the waypoint that we're inbound. So it would be something like London Control, Easy 864, good morning, flight level 190, inbound Donax. And they could come back with Easy 864, London Control, good morning, Roger, or radar contact or whatever else, depending on the region, but it's basically them saying that they can see you on the radar. They might give you other instructions, and if you've been on Unicom, as we have been, and we have our transponder set to 2000, because we've had no IFR clearance or anybody to speak to, they might tell us to set transponder squawk whatever number, 3576 or whatever else. So we're approaching Mallard now, so we would be told when ready, descend flight level 170 level by Mallard. But we're ready now, so we'll just go ahead and initiate that descent. From Wallasey, we just keep going down to MIRSI, and you can see down in the box here we've got Manchester Airport. So from MIRSI we might be given lots of vectors to line up for the runway, in which case it might be it will be headings that will be given and altitudes. So we might be told to leave MIRSI at heading 130 degrees or something like that. And we follow all of those vectors, and the controller's basically bringing us around to intercept that ILS approach for runway 23 right. So follow all of those instructions. If you get asked to enter the hold, then check out the how to fly a hold tutorial. We don't have automated holds yet in the Airbus on the sim, so you'll have to manage it manually, but I've done a tutorial video on that. But that is it. You can be deviated from the SID or from the star. You can be deviated from the star, and if they give you a vector from Wallasey, then just follow whatever they tell you to do, as air traffic control will have precedence over what the charts say. And as you get closer, you might have to contact Manchester Director, which is their approach frequency, and as you get towards your runway, it would be contacting Manchester Tower. And the approach or London Control, or whoever it is responsible for the initial arrival, will vector you all the way up to where that ILS is, and then from there you'll be handed over to a tower controller. And again, as always, if there's no tower controller on, but there's an area controller, then you'll stay on their frequency and they'll give you clearance to land. One thing to bear in mind, which is helpful, is to look at VPilot. Naturally, as you're getting closer to your destination, your aircraft will start to shout at you and tell you that you need to enter destination data down at the very bottom here, and that means you need to go to your approach tab and fill out this page. Now if you've got a controller online, you need to look at the VPilot client and scroll down to the ATIS section, as that will give you information. So as we see, EGNX has got ATIS on, East Midlands, and it's got all of the information you need to fill out your approach page. But we're not using that, we're not flying into them, so in absence of Manchester Control or Manchester ATIS or anything like that, we can just type in to vpilot.metar EGCC, hit enter, and then you get your latest METAR. So you can see there the date is the 11th, which is today's date, the 11th of December, time 9:20 Zulu. Variable winds at 2 knots, all the 9s is basically good visibility, light rain, few clouds at 1,600, scattered clouds at 4,200. You got your temperature there, 8 degrees Celsius, and your QNH 983. So we need to go ahead and put all of that data in. If it's variable at 2 knots, then I'll take the last METAR reading, which was at 230 at 5. So I'll do the mag for the 5 and I'll change that to just 2 knots. QNH was 983. Temperature 8 degrees. And the transition altitude, without ATIS information, just have a look at your arrival charts and it will tell you, there you go, transition altitude at the top there, 5,000. The ATIS information will probably be very different but in absence of that, pop in 5,000. Now, how do you find out your decision height for your arrival? You need to know your ILS plate charts, and you can see as well we've got that transition altitude there of 5,000. If we scroll down with our weight and things, we're category C aircraft, we can see that our decision height is category 1 ILS 172, category 2 ILS 331, and if we're going to use MDA as the input on the MCDU, we would use the numbers in bold. So for category 2 we'd use 331 feet in the MDA, and if we were going to use decision height, which is linked to the rad alt, then it would be 82. So we're going to do a cat 2 ILS, we'll do 82 foot as the decision height, and that's the point where we would get minimums read out to us. So as you can see, Wallasey isn't actually labelled correctly for the MIRSI 2 Bravo arrival in the sim, so you need to be careful as you're planning stuff to make sure you're happy with what you need to do, and that you can't be thrown out. You can see there that it's given us basically a direct vector to the MCT VOR, which wouldn't happen with ATC. So we have to preempt that and look at the chart, so we can see that we need to leave Wallasey at a specific heading of 061 degrees and fly to MIRSI, which is 17 miles away. Now, because MIRSI is not listed, what we can do is go radnav 114.1 into VOR, and we can then just go ahead and click that, so we're tracking our distance. We've got 5 miles to that VOR. And obviously we would have been given further descent vectors and things by now. If we're on Unicom at this point as well, we would mention Manchester traffic, Easy 864, passing Wallasey, descending through whatever altitude it might be, on a MIRSI 2 Bravo arrival. And we'll keep going down to 6,000. So we might be told from Wallasey, leave Wallasey heading 061 degrees. In which case, as we're passing Wallasey, we turn to 061. And all the time we're tracking that. We're looking at the charts. We need to make sure that we're 17 miles. We can see there's track to MIRSI, and we've gone ahead and initiated that turn to 061 degrees. We've passed that Wallasey SLP, so we have to make sure that we're sticking to those speed restrictions of 250 knots, and if we have to, because of a steep descent or whatever, use speed brake. One thing it is quite good to use just to make things easier, once you've got all your destination bits input, just activate approach phase, and then you can just leave it on managed speed, because the aircraft will fly itself down to the green dot and not slow down any further until you input flaps 1. If you're told by ATC to fly to a specific speed, then make sure you stick to that and fly as directed. And then we'll just go ahead and vector ourselves in for an arrival. On Unicom we announce our position as we make our way around the arrival route, and let everybody know what we're doing around us. And if we had ATC, we would follow all of their directions. If we're unable for any reason, then we just say we're unable, and very, very briefly explain why you can't. So I hope you found it useful anyway. let me know how you get on in the comments. If you've got any suggestions or things that might be worth mentioning that I may have missed, then let me know on Discord as well. Make sure if you're new to the channel you click subscribe while you're here, and check out the rest of the VATSIM tutorial mini-series. Thank you all for watching, and hope you have a great day. See you soon for another live stream very soon.